say, for instance, that I have a strong faith in Bhakti,
Mm.
right? Strong faith in Krishna. And at the same time, I struggle with depression. And I'm able to do exactly what I was speaking about before. I'm able to look at my mind and realize that it's not me, that it's a dysfunctional machine that I'm dragging around with me. It's like a computer with a bunch of viruses on it that will continue to be like an object of frustration for me. But and so I do suffer from it.
Mm.
But within me, there's a deep conviction that that's my mind and it's a problem. But that condition of suffering makes me turn to God within and
Mm.
pray with a deep sincerity that, dear God, I've lost all hope that I'm going to find happiness in this world without you. Look at me. I'm
Mm.
dragging around this terrible mind that's
Mm.
prone to loops of depression and all that. And as hard as I try to shake it, I can't shake it. You know, and if this is what it means that I live out this, if due to my past deeds, I'm stuck with this mind and I'm going to live with this for the rest of my life, I accept that. I just want to serve you, right? I just want to serve you. I'm willing to drag this mind around with me, and I just want to serve you, you know, with love. Please, I'm not even asking you to clear up the negative loops in my mind. I'm asking you that one way or another, my mind goes to you. That I stay, you know, that my conviction deepens, that you are
Mm.
my only shelter. Like then that state of depression or whatever it is that they're going through can actually be an impetus for one to turn back to Krishna with greater conviction.
Sure.
You know, so I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to deal with it. You know, I realize that it's like any other kind of like health issue. You know, we try to deal with it. We do the best we can to deal with it. But it's what what Atma Jnana can give us, which is part of Bhakti, which is included within Bhakti, knowledge of the self, can help us understand is even if I do suffer, just like I might, you know, I might have like a, you know, some physical malady, like I walk with a limp because of some injury or something like that. And Bhakti doesn't necessarily cure that, but I learn how to live with it through Bhakti.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Traverse City, Michigan, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show.
One moment. Hold on.
It,
Hold on. We're going to have to restart.
oh, come on.
No, because either you or I or both of us have to go to Riverside
Oh, yeah.
and turn down the volumes.
There's no Mara today, people. Mara is sick.
That's a
Mara
shame.
is back home with a fever, asking for some prayers, some Hare Krishna Maha mantras for her.
Okay, let me get my.
Is that okay with you that I do a Hare Krishna Maha mantra for Mara, Kaustubha?
No. What? You better change your attitude right now.
I've
Before we
never
get the
heard.
show started.
This is Kaustubha yesterday. I've never heard any Vaishnavacharya saying the Maha mantra for someone's health and well-being.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Now what? It's time to update things, Kaustubha. I want to pray for my friends.
Our Sampraday's conclusion, the Siddhanta. Raghunath updates the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. All right, hit it, Raghunath. Go for it.
Well, we did Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Whatever. You don't have to do that again if you don't.
Live from Traverse City, Michigan, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. It's March 29th, 2025. Welcome to the show. Mara's not here. Mara's not feeling well today, so I don't even know what episode this is. Do you, Kaustubha?
Is it 1566?
Maybe. Let's just call it maybe. It is.
I think it is.
Henry is nodding yes. We're here with our Zoom morning people. It's 7 a.m. today. We usually do it at 8 o'clock on the weekends, but it's 7 a.m. today.
You see
I'm
what
up
I
with,
just realized, Raghunath?
what's
Is
that?
that because Mara's not here, I had to open up the show like on Zoom. So like I'm the host, but I'm the
Okay.
host under your name, right? Like if you look at my thing right now, you see it says Raghunath.
Oh yeah, you
And that
are.
means direct messages to you. I'm getting them now.
Oh no. Okay, message board. Stop it right now. No more
I
secret
see.
messages to me.
Now I get to see what's going on in your world behind the scenes. Private stuff.
Thousands, my whole internal communication with these people. Anyway, we're here. I'm in
But tell us
beautiful
about Mara.
Traverse
What's
City.
going on? She's got a fever.
Well, Mara's got a fever. Mara's got a fever of 102, and she's been sleeping since like
She needs
all
rest.
day yesterday. She's not feeling good. It's really tough for me to be away, and I'm away with my son. I flew him back to where he stays with his mom in Michigan.
When do you get back to
I don't
Super
get back
Soul?
till Sunday morning, so
Well, that's
her
tomorrow
dad
morning.
came by. My daughter's home and checked on her.
All right.
Yeah, let's say some prayers for Miss Mara.
Papa Tony could go drop in.
Papa Tony stopped by yesterday. My daughter said.
All right.
Hmm.
All right, Rogu.
How are you?
I think we do announcements at this point, but
Oh,
since Mara's not here, we don't have any announcements, right? Oh,
there's
tomorrow,
nothing.
big announcement.
Oh,
Big announcement.
yeah.
Tomorrow, I'm interviewing Simon Haas on his book, The Dark Night of the Soul. This book has changed a lot of lives. A lot of people are really into this book. You know, he's a
I
really
haven't read
nice
it. I heard it's
Vaishnava.
very good.
He's a really nice Vaishnava, and apparently this book is really really touched a lot of people. Dark Night of the Soul. We all go
Mm,
through it one time or another, right?
yeah. Yeah. Sometimes every day.
Dark minute of the day. Okay,
Got a
so
spring retreat.
that'll be tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Okay.
Back for that.
Nityananda Chandra says, announce the spring retreat. It's up on the site. That's our Wisdom of the Sages Memorial Day weekend. Come on down.
Okay. Is there anything more you have to say about it?
Nothing more. It's a Wisdom of the
Okay,
Sages.
we're
I'm
a
looking
little
forward to
lost
it.
this morning.
We all get
I'm
together. We have lots of kirtan, eat lots of prasad. It's beautiful, beautiful time in spring, right during Memorial Day weekend. Really looking forward to everybody coming up.
All right.
Super Soul Farm. Go to wisdomofthesages.com. I'm speaking a little quieter today because I'm in the bathroom of my hotel room, and I'm scared it's going to wake up the neighbors when I start getting loud. So I'm trying to be
Wake up the neighbors.
controlled and soft-spoken. It is new for me.
All right. Wake up the neighbors or wake up
Well, there's people,
Tarun?
Tarun will never wake up, but on either side of me,
Okay.
on either side of me, there's neighbors, and I'm
Well,
right by
that's
the
so
door. And
considerate of you.
I don't want to wake them up.
All right. All right. All right.
Stayed up late,
We'll do it
played
real quiet
chess.
today. Do I
Huh?
have to be quiet too? That
No,
might
you're
wake
good. You are quiet. You can scream at me and be
Alright.
quiet.
Okay.
You're one of those quiet people.
Am I really?
Yeah, you are.
I don't think so. But anyway.
You don't, we don't know what we are. That's the thing. We can't see what we are, but I can see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, why don't we get right into the Q&A today, right?
Yeah, it's Q&A day, questions and answers day. People send in their questions. You can send them in too, and we'll answer them on the show live. And if you don't want your name to be revealed, we'll say a secret person has contacted us. We call them anonymous, and we won't tell them your name, but we'll tell them where you're from and what you look like.
We'll give them a lot of hints,
We'll give them,
but they'll have to figure it out on their own.
this person is regularly on Zoom. They're slightly balding and probably between the ages 50 and 65.
West Coast.
No, just kidding. We keep it anonymous if you want it anonymous, because sometimes there are these questions that are burning in everyone's heart. Never think your question is too stupid.
Mundane.
Everybody's got good questions, and a lot of people are really new to this. And so there's a lot of questions. Don't be scared to ask.
There's certain questions we get over and over again, so we don't answer them. Like, if you send us a question about, like, putting down your pet, we're probably not going to answer that one because
That's
we
an
don't wanna
important
make
question, man.
that decision.
I think
right?
that should be discussed more.
Well, so many people have that question, and it's like,
How about
we
putting down a
don't,
human?
Well, haven't had that question, but the pet one is a common one. We have like probably like
Believe me,
6 people have written us that question. We've answered it one time, I think. In our answer, we probably answered it more than one time, where we just said, "Look, we feel compassion for your pet. At the same
what's it called
time,
for humans? Euthanasia?
yes, euthanasia."
What do you
So
think about that?
I'm not going to deal with that question today, Raghunath.
That's a question. That's a real question.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
if I was dying and had
You
incurable
were begging me.
pain and begging you to kill me, I'd want you to kill me. They do these things in they do these things
Raghunath,
now in
this
Switzerland, like pods. Ever heard of them? You go in a pod and you can
quietly.
focus, you can meditate, and then just leave your body.
Okay, let's leave that for another day, Raghunath. Let's take on. We have a question. You want me to read the questions today?
Anyway, you read the question, smart guy. That was a real
Okay.
bona fide question. It
It
wasn't
is.
a
It's just not one
squirrel.
of the questions that were sent to us that we're meant to answer in
I
this
know. It's a podcast. We're supposed to have
small window
conversation.
of time.
It's supposed to be unplanned conversation.
It's not really.
Can
It has
someone
that
tell
element.
him how this works? It's only been 1,500
The
episodes.
way it works is that I read this question right now from Dana K. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
This is actually come from the chat board from a show earlier this week.
Hmm.
And she writes, I get confused when we say I'm not this mind, but
Mm.
isn't it the mind that travels with you when you leave the current body? Hmm?
Yeah, it
What's your
is.
answer?
Well, it travels with the soul. You're the you. The mind travels with
Right.
you.
In
You're
one
the
sense,
soul.
she answered it herself, right? Because isn't it the mind that travels with you? That means we are not the body. They're two separate.
Yeah, you're not the clothes either, but you get into a car and then you get out of a car and then you take off the clothes. So, yeah, the
You
mind
take
body.
off your clothes when you get out of the car.
I do
Right?
all the time. As soon as I get out of that car, I'm nude.
You're like George Costanza when he goes to the bathroom.
I mean, I can't talk loud today. Don't make me laugh. No, but the mind body is so woven to the soul, and with
Especially
that
the
is the
mind,
and
right? Like,
well, especially yeah, no, especially the ego, and the mind,
well, there was
all of
just
it. The
when I say the
subtle
mind
body.
here, I'm talking about the entire chitta, the
Okay,
entire cognitive faculty, right?
yeah, it's woven tight to the soul. So you can take your concept of yourself, like Kaustubha has a concept of himself. He thinks of himself as this
This is
Harvard
now we're going to hear
professor.
just one second, right? Before you say what you're about to say, now we're going to hear Raghunath's mental false ego reaction to just me being me, and and he's going to project that onto his idea of who I think I am. Go ahead.
We all have a concept of who we think we are in
All
this
right.
world. That concept goes to the next body. Isn't that crazy to think like that?
It's an amazing thing. It's
Yeah,
an amazing thing.
and the intelligence that you've built up in this lifetime and lifetimes before gets transferred. Your beauty, your softness, your intelligence, your character, your addictions. Um, that's why we got to do a lot of work on ourselves in this lifetime. It's not going away when we die. It goes with us. And this is what this whole game is about. It transforms us. And when we were saying yesterday, like when we really call these mantras into our life, these sacred sounds, it's not for peace. Like just give me peace in this world. Peace comes. Peace will come. It's really for transformation. God is much more interested in our transformation than to have a sunny day today. That's my theory on this. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. Now, I think where you started is so important that it's we're our identity is woven tight to the body, no doubt. You know, we think I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm American, I'm South American, European, whatever it is. Um, but we might, through hearing, we might get the clear idea, at least theoretically in the beginning. I get it. I'm not this body. I get it that this is just a vehicle. I get it that I'm eternal and I move on out of this body and I travel to the next. Um, but but still, we're still even more tightly wound to that mind, to thinking that we are these thoughts, these feelings, that this is me. I am happy. I am sad. I am confused. I am depressed. No, 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 no. That's just this machine, right? That's just this computer that you have that is currently experiencing this depression, or currently experiencing this elation, or currently experiencing this confusion or doubt or boredom. That keying in on that's going to take our spiritual life to the next level.
Mm.
Really observing the mind. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but or maybe I was doing it. Maybe it was back when I was in beach here, Raghunath. I got you to that minute. I saw you reach. That was quick. You're
I'm good. I'm good. I got this, Kaustubha. I can help people get
okay.
into the show when you can't, when you don't see it, when you're
Right,
obtuse.
right.
I'll help them.
But here's the thing, and this is something I welcome everyone to do. Just stay with me, Raghunath.
I
Stay
am. I'm trying to be Mara also, working behind the scenes.
I've got that, and just stay with me here. I got it all.
Okay.
So but if you want, anyone at any point can have a profound spiritual experience in a moment, and it's not by taking LSD or mushrooms or something like that. It's quicker than that, and and all you have to do is observe your mind.
Mm.
Look at your mind rather than be in your mind and feel that you are your mind. Step back and look at the thoughts in your mind as an observer. And that very experience itself is a spiritual experience, because you have that you have that distinct awareness that I'm not my
Mm.
mind, that my mind is something else. Now the
Mm.
Bhagavad Gītā is saying that that mind, the material, the gross material body, at the time of death, the soul leaves that body behind, right? Just like Raghunath leaves his clothes behind when he gets out of a car. I'm not sure why he does that. But when the soul leaves the body, it takes the mind with it. That's an interesting point, right? So this is Bhagavad Gītā 15:8, right? Beginning of 15:8. The living entity in the material world carries their different conceptions of life, right? Their
Why don't you read
thoughts.
these three verses?
That's what I was going to do, 8 through 10. Yeah. Carries their different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas, right? The air is blown around and it has this subtle aromas in it. The aromas are not the air, and the air will be free of that aroma eventually, but for some time, that air may carry a subtle aroma with it. And in this way, the soul is taking the subtle body, the mind, with it,
Mm.
right? To the next body, to the next gross physical body. Thus, he takes on one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Vicha. The living entity thus takes another gross body, right? The physical body, the tangible body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped around the mind.
This is amazing, isn't it?
The
This isn't
mysteries of the
this
universe.
isn't religious, man. This is spirit. This is like
This
transcendental
science,
information.
yeah. Thus, they enjoy a particular set of sense objects. Now, so that means that, like, let's say, and I want to use something that's kind of real distinct, something that's drastically different, so that, to highlight the distinction. But let's say that a human being, sometimes we meet human beings whose minds are really animalistic, right? Like they are just deeply focused on the things that animals do, mating,
Mm.
eating, sleeping, defending. Maybe they're really, those animalistic propensities. They had the opportunity within the human body to strive for more, to desire something higher, to focus on something higher, to bring their awareness to higher levels of thinking. But they chose not to, and they kept it right on that animal level. Then the Bhagavad Gita is saying that then you will take a body, and with that body a set of senses will form around that consciousness. So you can picture the soul, like a little spark of light, and this subtle mind traveling with it. And now what's the next body going to be based on? it's going to be based on those thoughts. It's going to be based on the mindset that you have. And so when it says that, you take a particular type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch grouped around the mind, you get a suitable body that's it. Okay, is that the way you wanted to use your awareness? Then we'll give you the most
Mm,
suitable body and group of senses. And we do have different senses, right? Like the dog, they
sure.
say that nose, right? Something like, I forget the number, but like 4,000 times or 40,000 times or something like that more sensitive than the human nose. So it's like, and it's a nose that's, got a certain programming in it. It wants to sniff for certain stuff that the human is not interested in sniffing in, right? And it's got a power to pick up more information. And it's more dependent on that nose. Like, as human beings, we don't depend on our nose for information the same way that we do, like with our eyes or our ears. Our nose is like, you know, not as important to us.
Mm.
For the dog, that nose is like really important. It's really does a lot of its investigation with that thing. And so, in this way, the Bhagavad Gita is saying we're all traveling through different bodies. We're taking the subtle mind with us, and in that programming that's within the mind. Then Krishna says the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spells of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to train our eyes. When it says the eyes become trained to see this, it means that we see this way spontaneously. It doesn't even require like reflection necessarily,
Mm.
but that we kind of just naturally, when I'm relating to someone, I'm relating to them as the soul that's temporarily in the body. That's what I see. I don't see the body, and my awareness is focused on the external, and I have to remind myself that there's a soul in there. I see
Mm.
the soul first. I relate to the soul first. That's we're trying to come to that level. Now, this may be what stimulated the question, because in we were reading about Sobari Muni, right? This incredible yogi who he had his ups and downs. He was meditating under the water. He got a little distracted. He came out. He lived a super opulent material life. Tired of that, saw the hollowness and all that, and then he walked off to the forest again, and then he died, and he transcended. And in the commentary to one of the verses, Prabhupada writes, it's text 54. Prabhupada wrote, "At the time of death, fire burns the gross body. And if there is no more desire for material enjoyment in the subtle body," I'm sorry, let me read that again. "And if there is no more desire for material enjoyment, the subtle body is also ended, and in this way a pure soul remains." So when we let go of let go of all the interest that we have in trying to enjoy the virtual world, right, and trying to enjoy the virtual reality, then there's no more need to have that mind. That mind is a faculty to use. I think a lot of people feel like when we say we're not the mind, they think, well, but then how do you think? And that's where like
Right.
everything's going on. It's like, no, no, no. You got this external computer that you're thinking with
Sure. It's
called the
like me
mind.
carrying around a centipede, joust, or Galaga, and being in that video game and thinking it's me. You're not,
I was
you're
wondering
not
where you're
a
going. Centipede. Okay, now I get it. Okay.
centipede. Yeah, now you get it. Nityananda Chandra says this good. I don't know where he gets this from, but I believe this too. He says, how we get a subtle body is developed by the situation of the subtle body, and it can be seen in the past life studies. Physical trauma from the previous body is stored in the subtle body and manifest as birthmarks. Thus, kids who remember being shot have birthmarks that match up to the death
You
marks of
had
the
to take it
previous.
here, right? Yeah.
I didn't take it here. Nityananda
No, you
Chandra did.
did,
He's a
Raghunath. You did.
respected member of our society. Well,
You always
here's a
do that
question, though.
four-year-old thing. It's not me. I didn't do it.
Okay, here's an interesting question that that I wrestle with,
Okay.
and I want to hear how you understand this.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how I understand it.
All right.
Some people wrestle with their mind in a tragic way, like in this lifetime,
Sure.
their life is, stunted by their overwhelming mind. And it could be from some past thing. It is from some past thing, obviously, but it might be some thing they can't even identify, or they blocked out that happened in childhood, or they could be bringing in a very detrimental mind from a previous life. So we say, well, look, we almost give them a death sentence and say, well, you're not the mind. You got to change your mind. But what if they can't change their mind and they're doing all the process, they're going through the whole process. Then
What
that means in
process?
their
The process
next,
of bhakti you're talking about?
the process of bhakti, yo.
Okay. Oh,
The
well,
process of, well, there
yeah.
are people, we're bringing them through the process of bhakti,
Yeah.
but there's still pain within the mind. So the question is, of course, we say, well, suicide's no answer. You're going to get the mind with you. But what about the next life? The mind's still with you. How do you get rid of that mind? How do you change that mind? Some people, after years and years, struggle with this mind. What do you think about that? I'm going to tell you my theory. My theory is if you're practicing bhakti, it's almost like you're throwing a ball and you hit like a corner piece of the sidewalk or the sort of, well, where it ricochets off in a different direction almost. I think with bhakti, sometimes you got to burn through I think sometimes the mind is sometimes like a ball and chain that you got to deal with in this lifetime. And by applying bhakti, you burn through this type of karma. You just got to sometimes here's my theory. You got to deal with the mind you've been given in this lifetime, and you'll get a better option next time. Because it almost seems otherwise you can't get out of this cycle at all. You know what I mean?
No, I know that it can feel like that for a lot of people, right? Like I just can't break the cycle. The loops of my mind, I can't shake them. I've tried this,
Yeah,
I've
so what do you
tried that.
do? So are they condemned? Or does bhakti sort of ricochet them off in a different direction in their next
Well,
life?
you know, our shastras tell us that bhakti can burn all our karma, right? All gone. So
Yeah.
that's there for sure. But that doesn't mean that that will happen immediately. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that our mental condition is necessarily part of our karma at a certain point. You know, like if we've turned to Krishna, then even that may be part of Krishna's, way of how am I going? In other words,
I agree. I get what you're saying. Like if a person's practicing pure devotional service and they get dementia,
yeah,
does that mean that they're going backwards?
yeah,
I
right,
think
right,
no. It's just like this is their hard drive. Their soul has been cultivating bhakti their whole life.
right, and it could be a way where like a lot of our karma is dealt with in a short, in a minute amount of time. But like let's say for instance that I have strong faith in bhakti,
Hmm.
right? Strong faith in Krishna. And at the same time I struggle with depression. And I'm able to do exactly what I was speaking about before. I'm able to look at my mind and realize that it's not me, that it's a dysfunctional machine that I'm dragging around with me. It's like a computer with a bunch of viruses on it that will continue to be like an object of frustration for me. But and so I do suffer from it.
Hmm.
But within me, there's a deep conviction that that's my mind and it's a problem. But that condition of suffering makes me turn to God within and
Hmm.
pray with a deep sincerity that, dear God, I've lost all hope that I'm going to find happiness in this world without you. Look at me. I'm
Hmm.
dragging around this terrible mind that's
Hmm.
prone to loops of depression and all that. And as hard as I try to shake it, I can't shake it. You know, and if this is what it means that I live out this, if due to my past deeds I'm stuck with this mind and I'm going to live with this for the rest of my life, I accept that. I just want to serve you, right? I just want to serve you. I'm willing to drag this mind around with me, and I just want to serve you, with love. Please, I'm not even asking you to clear up the negative loops in my mind. I'm asking you that one way or another my mind goes to you. That I stay, that my conviction deepens, that you are
Hmm.
my only shelter. Like then that state of depression or whatever it is that they're going through can actually be an impetus for one to turn back to Krishna with greater conviction.
Sure.
You know, so I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to deal with it. You know, I realize that it's like any other kind of like health issue. You know, we try to deal with it. We do the best we can to deal with it. But it's what 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 Atma Jnana can give us, which is part of bhakti, which is included within bhakti, knowledge of the self, can help us understand is even if I do suffer, just like I might, I might have like a, some physical malady, like I walk with a limp because of some injury or something like that. And bhakti doesn't necessarily cure that, but I learn how to live with it through bhakti. And similarly, bhakti may not, immediately cure my mental condition, but it can help me deal with it. It can help me understand it. It can help me put it in a context where it actually becomes advantageous rather than disadvantageous for me.
Sure. I mean, if you had a quote deformity or something, or you walked with a limp, or
Yeah.
you could hate yourself for that. You could hate yourself your
Right.
whole
Right.
life for
Right.
that. You could say, look how unprivileged I am, or look how
How
inadequate
bad I
I
am.
am,
How
how
bad I
bad
am.
I am.
Yeah.
This is how I'll never fit in. I'll never be loved. And Bhakti frames that out. So you have that. And you just understand it's not me. It's
Right.
not me. And what do I care how people are measuring me up to? Up to some standard of health and beauty. And why am I trying to get validation from other people? It's not like it's going to be easy. It's not like that's going to be easy anyway.
Right.
But when you see that in the proper context, you can cope with it so much better. I find that in my own life too. When I see my shortcomings, or my whatever lack I might have, or some pain, emotional pain I'm going through, I have to frame it out. I'm in a constant stage of framing my life out, um, because sometimes I can get overwhelmed, by emotion, you
Yeah.
know, and I just have to spill it out. I'm with Henry. I spill it out the other day. I'm down. Here I am in Florida with my son, who doesn't live with me. He lives in Florida.
Right.
It's heartbreaking. I have the nicest son in the world, and he lives in Florida. My other son lives in Michigan,
Right.
and he's 11 years old, and he's being raised by somebody else. It's like it's when I'm in it, and I
It
live
can
with my
it
daughter.
can
I live with my
eat you
daughter.
up right to the core if
What's
you're it can eat
Oh,
you
you don't
up.
understand. It does eat me up to the
Yeah.
core on a regular basis,
Right.
and it's sometimes where you just want to break down in tears. And because this isn't how I planned life to go. This isn't the happy ever after I planned. And for whatever pain I'm feeling, I'm trying to imagine the pain that they're feeling.
Yeah.
Because and the bigger kids don't say things, but sometimes you have my little son will say, I wish we could all just live together. And
Yeah.
then I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like ready to break into tears,
Right.
you know, or I wish it could be like the old days, and so if I don't zoom out of my context of being in this, and what is the context? You know, the real context is children are children for a moment in time. And I'm a father in this lifetime, but for a moment in time, we have this like little intimacy. It's like, for example, I grew up with brothers and sisters. I had 6 brothers and sisters. I don't see many of them a lot, but we were very, very intimate at a certain point in time. And that's going to happen soon too. Then I got to zoom out even more. It's almost like I'm going back, I'm looking at a blade of grass, and I'm looking back at the lawn, then I'm looking back at the village, then I'm looking back at the city. It's like an airplane taking off. And so when I look back at my entire existence, I'm thinking, actually, even none of these people that I'm friends with or my family members, none of them are going to be with me. We're leaving everybody behind. Everything is broken in the material world. Your family's not broken. Everything is broken in the material world. Everything is ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Everything is like sand running through your hands. And the best thing that we can do is walk each other towards truth, light, love, and dharma. And there's going to be some things you don't plan in this world. And you're just going to have to deal with them instead of being paralyzed when things fall apart.
Mm. Raghunath, you know what you're saying and the way that you're talking. Now, no, no, don't go back to the chat board. Over here.
That was a lot for me.
It's like you just hand the mic over and then you just like. But no, because I
Talking
appreciate
from
so
my
much what
heart
you're
here,
sharing.
Kaustubha.
I appreciate so much what you're sharing. I want to talk to you about it. That like the way that you're speaking right now, what it reminds me of, and I almost feel like as you were speaking, it just felt like a little dark, like whoa, this dark cloud is like but it's reality, the nature of this world is that it is so difficult, and but the way that you're speaking was reminding me of like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers, like his prayers in Sharanagati and so on, where he's kind of like saying, life can be so hard and so difficult and so tough, and I live with this anguish, and we all feel that anguish from time to time. And there's something about reading those songs, hearing those lyrics that he wrote. Many, I'm sure maybe most of our listeners, certainly many of our listeners are unfamiliar with them, but he was a deep bhakti yogi he would really write very deep feelings of lamentation. Dear God, look how I've wasted my life, and look at the condition that I am. By nature, I am your loving servant, situated in eternal bliss, you know, drowning in the ecstasy of your beautiful pastimes with you. And here I am somehow. I've got myself so deeply lost in this illusory realm. And I suffer in this way and that way and this way and that way. Look at me. And we can read those songs and they can sound dark, but there's something in them that's very satisfying, like when we read them, that we say, yes, that's our situation in this realm. And ultimately, I'm beyond it. Temporarily, I'm experiencing it. But by separating oneself and observing it, you feel how it's not me, how I am beyond it. And that is profound. And there's something very satisfying about it. Something, feeling that reality is something that's very profound. So this, this it's been an interesting conversation, and I think neither of us really anticipated exactly what we've been talking about going into this, because you kind of brought up that question. But we're not saying don't pursue, mental health, therapies and so on. We try, if I'm walking with a limp, I'm going to see if I can fix that. And if I need a speech therapist, I'll do that. And if I need a pair of glasses, I'm gonna go out and get a pair of glasses. And if I'm struggling with depression, I should try to deal with it, and there are professionals that can help me with it. But setting all that aside, whether we're successful in that endeavor or not, what bhakti does give you is a perspective in which to deal with it. And if you go deep into bhakti, you can deal with it all. And you can make the most out of this life under any circumstance. There's no material impediment, even severe depression and things like that. There is no material impediment to achieving success in bhakti. It's a very, very powerful philosophy, and a very, very potent practice.
Yeah, sometimes I find myself saying, I have to stand up tall and just realize I have karma to burn. I have to stand up tall in this light, and I have karma to burn, and just to deal with it.
And I accept it. I accept it. I don't
And
complain.
once and that's where acceptance is. There's all these different forces. You can call them planetary forces, whatever you want to call it. There's all these forces around me. I can't change them, and I'm just going to have to accept it and make the best with what I've got.
What you just said is, because you mentioned planetary forces.
Yeah.
As bhakti yogis, our path of bhakti yoga is the essence of the Vedic scriptures, from which so many sciences stem off of, including astrology. But how we look at astrology, how the Vaishnava, how the bhakti yogi looks at astrology, I think you're getting right to it right there. In other words, we're like, ultimately, it's like, I accept what I'm doing. I'm not trying to change it. if I'm consulting astrology in any way, it's just so that I might get a clue how I might be able to better serve. Like
Mm.
you understand? It's like it's not like I'm trying to escape my fate. And that ability to say I accept my fate, you know, I've brought it upon myself. And let me accept it. If there's no accepting of it, if there's just a constant endeavor to escape it, then we never grow through it, which is its whole purpose, you know? Like the whole purpose of the karma is that we grow. And if we're
Mm.
just trying to, if we're focused constantly on how to circumvent it, how to escape it, how to, get around it in some way or another, then we never actually take up that growth that we're meant to do. And the way that you're speaking it, to me, it's so profound, where it's like, yeah, there are aspects of my life that are really hard. Let me naturally, first, let me accept it. And as I go through it, let me reflect on it, exactly how I've lived my life and why I'm here and how I would like to think in a different way and how I would like to rise above this, bring my awareness, bring my affection, bring my love to that ultimate um, to the ultimate receptor of it, to Sri Krishna, and in this way be fully healed, right? Like fully relieved, rather
Mm.
than just trying to find some stopgap measure to give me some sense of relief.
I think in that mood of dependence, and Krishna will take care of me, and Krishna's got a bigger plan. In that next birth, that mind will also be deeply affected.
Yeah.
Um,
If we have to take the next birth, ideally, it's
yeah,
like as Prabhupada is writing here, if there's no more desire for material enjoyment, the subtle body is also ended, and in this way, the pure soul remains. That's
sure. Who
that's really,
says depression is a disqualification from pure
yeah.
devotional service?
There is no disqualification. There is no material
Yeah. I
disqualification.
mean, we see people all the time with good fortune,
Most
with
of
good,
us.
most of us. No, we see people all the time with good fortune, and that good fortune leads them far astray
Right,
from spiritual life because
right.
of their good fortune, because of their good luck, so to speak, good, because of their high birth, because of their born into a family of wealth, or because of their privilege. Yeah, in a bigger picture, what is actually privilege? Privilege is pure devotional service. And you have to, and everybody has the opportunity to choose that. No one is barred from that. Right? It's
Right.
completely dependent on your choices. That's the highest privilege. Not to be born with some money or to be born a male. Who gives a crap? You don't think males are suffering or white people are suffering? It's such a stupid philosophy where the only metric is your skin color. No, there's so many different people suffering in this world, even if they have born with everything. Sometimes the people who are born with everything suffer more than anybody else, or they're from a really abusive or neglected family, a family that's neglected them. It's not a privilege necessarily. The real privilege, the highest privilege we can ask for, we have to choose. And that is, I'm going to choose a spiritual life despite whatever is being thrown my way. And you win. And we all have that opportunity. Make that a t-shirt, Kaustubha. You wear that today.
What exactly was it? You win and you have an opportunity?
I don't know.
I'm
You
not
weren't
sure
taking
how that
notes.
works.
You got to take
Okay.
notes next time I talk. Just say, God
Okay.
knows what's coming out of this guy's mouth today. I got to start being more attentive.
Okay. So anyway, tracing all the way back to Dana Kay's
You
question.
don't want to just end it with what I said. You have to get the final statement in today.
Well, we still got 12 minutes left. I,
I
I,
know,
I
but
thought it would have been
doesn't mean we
great.
can't answer somebody else's question.
I'm sorry? What do
We
you
can
mean?
answer somebody else's question.
Well, that's what I was just wrapping this up so that we could do that.
I thought I just wrapped it up.
Okay, fine. You wrapped it up.
Why do you
No,
want to
it,
be the
it helps.
rapper?
No, when you wrap it up, sometimes it helps to you mention the beginning again. That helps wrap it up. That helps tie it all together, right?
I usually wrap it up different ways because people, I
Okay, well,
usually
that's
say,
fine
"What do you think
too.
about that, Kastuba?" And
All
that's where you would
right.
say, "Yeah, great, that was it. Let's wrap it up. That's wrapped
Let's wrap
up.
it up.
That's wrapped. That's a
That's
wrap."
all wrapped up. Raghunath, you did a great job wrapping it up. Thank you. Okay, next question. You ready?
Thank you.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Yes.
This question. Oh, okay. This is coming from This was we picked this up. It's not the way questions are meant to be written in, but we picked this one up. Um, and this is from someone named Satyam Sharma who wrote this as a comment on YouTube. Okay. And I think
Say
it was, huh?
Say it.
Saying, well, first I want to give a context for it.
Okay.
This is in relation to episode 1565, which was entitled No Retaliation, No Hate, A Yogi's Guide to Loving the Unlovable, where we spoke about Kapila Dev. He was unfairly suspected of stealing a horse,
Yeah.
and he had 60,000
Princes.
coming after him with raised weapons, accusing him of stealing that horse. And
He's done nothing wrong. He's sitting in meditation.
he's done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. He writes, I don't know how you or any bhakti yogi would respond to adharmic forces. Do you ignore them? Do you respond with intelligent arguments? Do you attack? Do you roast? Krishna wanted to establish Dharma on the planet. War against evil forces was the only option left. So if I'm understanding what he's saying, it's like saying we seem to be speaking a message of just total tolerance. Whatever comes, you tolerate it. So he's saying, but isn't there times when we don't tolerate, where we step up and we retaliate? And then his comment was followed by someone who was thinking in a similar way. They said, this is a good point. Isn't Sanatan Dharma a warrior religion? It's not. I mean, it's much, much more than that. But we can get to that. And at what point does one need to fight back when it becomes the only seemingly viable, reasonable option? How would that look? Are there ways that a bhakti yogi, a fully realized bhakti yogi, retaliates against adharma in this world? Are we always meant to just tolerate the externals? I think that's the nature of the question.
That's great questions. And you know what? It's one of these things that has to be questioned intensely because we tend to want to react immediately. So the fact that we're even asking these questions, and we're doing it in sort of an assembly of Brahmins or deep thinkers, this is the way you go about these things, not in fits of rage. He cut me off. He cut me off. I'm gonna get out of my car. I'm gonna punch him out, or I'm gonna break his window, or wreck his side view mirror. That's not how we respond to things. But it is not a warrior religion, although there is sometimes you do have to stick up for yourself and fight, so to speak. Oftentimes, that's not our job. We put ourselves into other roles, like we are the people who are making all these world decisions, which are really out of our hands, no matter how we feel. Maybe they're in certain people's hands. Maybe you are one of those directors of the world or culture or things like that. And you have to think deeply about these things. You can't be rash about them. Want to share?
Sure. I think we need to be clear what we're speaking about. Like a lot in the context that we were speaking. Over here, Raghunath. Over here.
People are comforting me on the message board for my. See that's the thing of difference between you and our listeners.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more sensitive to me.
Oh, yeah.
And what I'm going through.
They haven't lived with you like I have.
There's so many people talking about divorce and the pain and the loss and the zooming.
Yeah, that's great, but
so you didn't pause.
What do you mean?
You didn't pause and say, Raghu.
I did, Raghunath.
You were being such
I was sharing appreciation.
I'm like
for
crying
how you,
inside.
yeah.
And you were like, if you actually understand it.
You see, Raghunath, you just have me in this little box. You see, you're like, that's the way Kaustubha responds. No. I was appreciating what you're sharing, the depth of it. You go back and listen to the
Sometimes you just got to be silent and embrace someone.
Sometimes you have to stop reading the chat board while we're trying to do a podcast. So,
all right, continue on, please.
Yeah. So, okay. let's try to understand the context in which we're talking about tolerance and so on. We're not saying that you're meant to not respond to things. Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight a battle. He's telling him to retaliate. But at the same time, and take note of this, he's never saying hate the person that you're about to fight. He's saying, and so therefore, we stand by the idea, like no hate, It doesn't mean that you don't, and no retaliation. We need to understand like the context in which we're saying this. Krishna tells Arjuna, what is it? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Therefore, at all times, mamanusmara, think of me, yujacha, and at the same time fight. If we're going to have a mind if we're going to be capable of being active in this world, fighting against adharma in this world, but doing it with a mind that's capable of thinking of Krishna as we're doing it, which is what the Bhagavad Gītā is advising.
Yeah.
Then we're going to have to give up the petty resentments, the silly stuff. I'm upset and disturbed and retaliating because a person said something that insulted my false conception of myself, right? That kind of stuff the yogi has no business with, no time for, no interest in. We're not saying that there's never a time when you're meant to stand up and retaliate against something.
Sure.
But we're saying that if we're going to have a mind that's going to be capable of being deeply absorbed in spiritual thought, the petty things we need to let go. And now, in one sense, even the big things in this world are petty in one sense. It may be our role to stand up and do something about it. And that's fine. We can do that. Bhakti doesn't deny that we can do that. What to speak of standing up against a dharma? In one sense, the devotee's entire life is standing up against the dharma through their words and through their actions and through how they live their life. It's a statement of, here is Sanatan Dharma. Here is the eternal. Here is someone living in connection with eternality. The whole thing is a rebellion in one sense, against the whole thrust, the whole current of material life.
Sure.
But even that being said, it doesn't mean that there aren't going to be times like Arjuna where say, hey, evil men have taken over the government. It's your role to fight them. And then you get up and you do that. But Arjuna wasn't the kind of person that was keeping petty resentments. That's the kind of stuff that we have to let go of. So when we speak this way, we're really speaking to the stuff that we all get caught up in. The day-to-day resentments about things that are totally insignificant. Try to just see that in the right context. If we say, hey, somebody at work said that I'm not committed enough, when really I am committed enough, and if that eats at me and makes me hate them and makes me retaliate against them and so on, my mind will get lost in that, and I'll never be able. I'll never have self-realization. Their little comment doesn't matter. I am beyond all this. This is the kind of thing we're talking about. And if when we say that, you don't need to retaliate, you can be tolerant, you can let it go. If your response is just saying, what if evil men take over the government and it's our job to do something? Or like, what if I'm a police officer and someone's committing a crime? I'm just supposed to let it happen? No. Try to understand the context in which we're putting these things, right? We're never saying that we don't necessarily retaliate against anything, but the kind of wounds that we unnecessarily feel when our false conception of ourselves has been in some way dented or damaged or rubbed the wrong way, that we get lost in that kind of stuff very commonly. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about letting go of.
I love that. I think you're super
I love
on base with it.
And let's just talk a little bit now. Let's take a little time to. I just want to sympathize a little bit, Raghunath, because I love you.
I'm good. You missed the window closed. The window closed to embrace Raghunath.
The window closed.
Now I'm good.
All right, then don't ask me again.
I've self-medicated.
All right.
Yeah, I like the fact that we get to fight against a dharma at every moment, by every choice, by how we live our life. You're going out with all your friends and they're all drinking. You know, I don't drink. That's a huge statement. That alone can change a person's life. Someone can look up to you and say, you know what, that makes sense. Doesn't drink. And let's face it, did Kapila Muni lose? No.
Well, they all
there was
burned to death
justice.
right in front of him.
There is cosmic justice.
Right.
You know what I
Cosmic
mean?
justice.
They all
That's a
died.
proper band.
Those sages who accused him and went to kill him, they all died.
That's right.
You know, there is cosmic justice. Don't you think you have to be the administrator of justice all the time? Because you could be wrong. You could, as smart as you are, as deep as you are, you could be totally off.
Yes. But I could be totally right.
I know, but you're going to risk yourself.
Sometimes,
That's why when
don't you have to?
devotees get really angry, and we see this, devotees sometimes get very angry at some other devotee, thinking they
Yeah.
were mistreated or wronged.
Oh, I've
You
seen
gotta-
that so many times.
You got to be careful.
I've seen
You
that so
don't,
many times.
you don't know what happened oftentimes. You don't
That's
know the
right.
whole picture.
Especially
And
when
you
you
don't
start
know
to
that
criticize
person's
them in public.
intention. Huh?
Especially when you start to criticize them in public. I've seen
Yeah.
devotees do this.
And you know what's the problem with that is it attracts other people just who don't even know the whole story to jump in and throw
Right,
stones.
now you've implicated them.
Now I tell you, you create havoc in your spiritual life. Very, very careful. Be very, very careful because oftentimes of course, oftentimes we can't see the whole picture and what's happened.
Right.
We can't see
You
Krishna's
wrap
hand
that
in
up
things.
perfectly. I love the way that you wrap that up.
You know, sometimes I just got to wrap it up. Sometimes you wrap it up. That's okay too. Oh, that's it.
Except
Thanks for
today.
everybody for joining us on Zoom. Zoom's fun. You can join us on Zoom too. Email Miss Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Yeah.
People still come in, Jamie. Oh, because they thought it was at 8 o'clock.
Oh, I thought it was at 8 o'clock. I'm sorry. It was at 7 o'clock today. Why did we do it at 7 o'clock? Okay.
I don't know. It's
Tomorrow, when's your interview?
8 a.m.
8 a.m. Okay, tomorrow it's at 8 a.m. Sorry for those who are joining late today. We had to move it around for some reason. All right, so I'm in Michigan today. I've got the day off tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm traveling back. And say some prayers for Miss Mara. She's not feeling well. It's hard to do the show without her. Kaustubha, nice show today.
Thank you, Raghunath. You too.
Good one. I appreciate you trying to be more sensitive.
Yeah. You were condescending me from beginning to end. Right?
You know, I was trying to lift you up.
Thank you. I lift you up by pushing you down. You have to be cruel to be kind in the right measure.